Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I am TheSaffronMan and this is the RedVsRed podcast where two Manchester United fans from across the world come together and talk about the club that we love. Sporadiclese is here with me. How you doing, buddy? Doing alright?
Yeah, doing well. Doing well.
We've literally just beaten Brentford
tired.
2-1, so how you doing? How you feeling after that?
Yeah, I mean, altogether really well. Like I'm feeling good. A little bit of a slow start, but we'll get into that. But overall, really pleased with the performance today. How about yourself?
I made a whole bunch of notes going through it, so I thought it would be pretty cool if I was to just kind of read through them for you, and then we kind of sort of break it down. But let's kind of start off with the lineup first of all. Different lineup. You made your predicament or your prediction yesterday. What changes were there? Where's it gone? There we go. What changes were there from when you set up your team?
So, I mean, it was really the right-hand side, which is where I had all of my question marks. In part, the defense kind of shifted around a bunch. So I still had Dallo and Martinez in. I just had them in different spots. I had Mazraoui starting on the right, just out of necessity. But I was really pleased to see Johnny Evans get another start today there in the center of defense. So, good on Ten Hag for backing the players that are performing well.
Yeah.
And, also Alejandro Garnacho and Rasmus Højlund getting the nods. I was a little bit concerned, honestly. I thought that, there were going to be some potential issues, and I think I've got my wingers swapped, by the way. But I thought that, the Garnacho picking up a knock or whatever it was, that might have kept him out. And then Rasmus Højlund, again, he played on Tuesday, so I wasn't quite sure if he was going to be included. But both of those players had big impacts today, so really glad with the lineup that was selected, honestly.
I don't think it was the lineup I would have gone for, but I mean, Ten Hag is done something. He's kept his stability with, like you say, the players that have kind of performed well of late. And you weren't wrong about the wingers being swapped. They were swapping pretty much every 10-15 minutes in the match as well, which I've seen. Usually the wingers swap with like 10 or 20 minutes to go or after half time or something like, but I've never seen them swap so they were literally just rotating every 10-15 minutes. Oh, that was a good couple of efforts from Garnacho, then it switched around. I feel sorry for their left and right backs for Brentford, because they didn't really have a clue what was going on half the match with all the swapping going on. But yeah, it was...
I don't, because it worked out pretty well.
It did work, but I mean, they both looked dangerous on either wing, which was crazy. Usually it's like, why are you rotating when Garnacho is doing so well there? But then Rashford, when they rotate, he was doing so well there as well. They were both being effective in their positions, and I thought that was really healthy for the pair of them. That was pretty cool. But all right, let's get involved with the match here, Sporadiclese. I'm just going to read through my notes from the first half, and then you can kind of pick at me any kind of points that you want to talk about. All right. So first minute, Onana scares me. Comparison: Brentford keeper, one touch then clears. Evans whiff. Brentford should be a goal up in 2 minutes. Can't call Garnacho a kid again after this season. I think that was just thinking, like, he's a father himself now, and he's been around a few seasons, and I just don't think he's had that excuse. Like, he's grown up as a player still, but I don't think he's going to have that excuse towards the end of this season and definitely next season. I think he's going to be fully grown a little. De Ligt challenge with the head. First thought was there's brave and then there's stupid. I mean, if it was on a goal line scramble and you're trying to stop a goal, you put your head on the line and you try and stop that goal. I absolutely get that. There's no need to go headbutting a guy's knee when he's outside the box and 2 yards in front of you. And literally the whole half resolved around this point, and I'm sure we'll get around to talking about it. He then went off to the pitch, and he was being seen to by the medical side. Went off for like 4 minutes or so. In my head, I wrote down just sub him already. Like, just sub him. We had Lindelof kind of getting warmed up and everything.
Absolutely.
He was ready to go. De Ligt rejoins on the 15th minute. 18 minutes, Højlund applauding a poor Dalot cross. Delo crossed it in. It was awful. Didn't beat the first man. And then Højlund was like, yeah, well done. And I thought to myself, how starved is Højlund as a striker that he's now applauding balls like that? Like, he is so starved to serve. So I couldn't believe that. So that went down on my notes. Rashford run positive on 19 minutes. Brentford keeper fumbled. It would have been a disallowed for a Højlund handball if it had gone in. He caught the ball, he fumbled it, it hit Højlund, it was about to go in, saved it again, but it hit Højlund on the arm, so it wasn't anything to get excited about, really. Garnacho had a good couple of efforts throughout the half. World-class Evans run and chip into the box on 26 minutes, I might add. It came to nothing, but it was
you just got to throw that word in there, don't you?
It was the thought that counts from Johnny Evans. Great intention. Love that. At 30 minutes, good Onana save at a good height, but the main issue was the sun. It was going in top corner at 30 minutes. But it was at a good height, but that sun was really challenging and he wasn't wearing a hat. And in comparison, the Brentford goalkeeper, he was wearing a hat a lot in the second half. So good save from Onana there.
Yeah, I mean, you make choices, sometimes they're not the best. I would definitely be wearing a cap were that me.
But I think that's why it went down in my notes, is because Onana, despite not having a hat, despite the sun being an issue, still made that save look rather straightforward for him. So yeah,
and it was a good save. It was a decent save, altogether. I thought that his positioning was good in that moment. Not too far. He wasn't cheating too far to the near post. So in good position to be able to attack the ball if it is coming near post, but also to be able to make that save at the far corner, which is where that one went, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, 31 minutes. When did Rashford and Garnacho switch? I just noticed that for the first time. It could have happened a couple of times before that, but that was the first sort of instance I paid attention to that. 36 minutes, Garnacho, poor effort, amazing build-up from Højlund and Rashford. I think that was when Højlund held the ball up, laid it off, got put out to Rashford on the right-hand side. First time driven ball. We've seen that ball a lot from Rashford as of late, and it's worked out, and Garnacho should have done better with that effort. But yeah, great build-up. We saw a lot of build-up play today, which was good to see. Casemiro playing confidently. But I put in the notes, always one challenge away from chaos. But he was playing with confidence. Garnacho, poor effort again on 40 minutes.
One too many touches on the ball, or thinking that he's got a little bit more space than he does. But overall, like, Casemiro, I thought had a pretty okay match. He didn't seem out of position. He seemed like he was making the tackles intelligently where he needed to. And the only time that he was really risking being on the ball for too long was whenever he was further up the pitch. So altogether, I'm not mad about that. He still had a couple of balls that he played over the top that were very good and kind of allowed us to get that breathing room a little bit. Just switching the field of play, and altogether, I was pleased with his performance today.
Yeah, Delo, solid first half at right back is what I wrote down. That's his first performance at right back in God knows how long, so it was good to see him have a good first half.
Sans the corner that they scored on. I would add that caveat.
I wrote that at 44 minutes. Okay, right.
Okay, so that was your mistake.
So 45 minutes to lit back off the pitch with blood flow issues. I put everyone worked hard in the first half. Maybe Martinez a bit quiet. ... Brentford score last minute corner with the lit off the pitch. Medical team's fault? ? Ten Hag and Rude booked, which I haven't seen that before either. So, they were kind of my notes for the first half of this Sporadiclese. That kind of summed it up for me. What were the highlights for you? What summed up that first half for you? What's the takeaway?
So my takeaway is that Martinez having a quiet first half was a great thing, honestly, because Mbeumo has more goals, or coming into this match, he had more goals for Brentford than our entire team. And so the fact that Martinez is playing out of position as a left back and having to guard, the most dangerous threat on that Brentford team, the fact that you didn't really have to hear his name a whole bunch didn't worry me. That made me feel good. It means that he was in the right positions to really cut down on the effectiveness of Brentford's most potent offensive threat. And it was the entire game. Honestly, there was no point at which I was like, man, Mbumo really looks like a threat to our goal. So. I love to see. Sometimes a quiet performance is a good performance, in my opinion. To your point, Johnny Evans had a good solid match. I also thought that De Ligt was going to get subbed off. After the second time that he was pulled off for the issue that he had with the blood and everything. Unfortunate to be in a position to concede that goal at the very end of the half. But at the end of the day, man, that guy was a trooper, and I feel like that's the kind of effort and performance that you want to see in your one of your. I mean, I'll go out and say it. I'll say one of your star defenders, your center backs. He is one of those players that I think that we are looking towards the future and saying this is going to be our man. And so for him to play through something like that and have honestly, were it not for Garnacho being so effective on offense, I would say probably a man of the match performance, in my opinion. It's really good to see something like that from a person, from a player, and just really wanting to be out there and put everything on the line. So to your point, probably a bit of a silly challenge there. You don't need to be. You don't need to be throwing your head down to a waistline at 40 yards out, but
we need to
all
talk
things
about it
considered, still a
sporadically
good
because
man.
it was a silly situation. Again, go back. If it was on the goal line, like, I get it. You're stopping a goal, but you got 4 or 5 people behind you still. You're outside of your box. It was just a really weird decision. And look, this moment had a lasting effect throughout the match, in my opinion. Now, we were semi-comfortable. It was a tough stuff. Everyone was working hard in that first half. But when you're getting decisions like that, when you're going in with your head against the knee, there's no other. What else do you think is going to happen? You're not made of like unobtainable steel or something. Like it was a silly decision to go with the head there. But it wasn't his fault that he was sent off the pitch numerous times. Now, of course, like if we weren't wearing a red shirt, he would have been sent off and probably had to change his shirt numerous times. But the shirt was fine because it was red generally. But it was the blood coming down his face. But he got sent off numerous times to try and get that done. Now look, I've seen cuts in the past when we've seen people bandaged up and they're carrying on, and that's great. But the first thing you do is obviously you do whatever you can to close the wound. You put as much Vaseline on it as humanly possible to have that waterproof seal on the wound, and then you kind of bandage it up, right? There was no bandages on De Ligt, and we only got the Vaseline there in the picture after half time. And so what the physios are doing, they were bringing him off, they were mopping him up, they were doing something, whether probably putting glue in the wound or whatever it is they do, I don't know, but there was no Vaseline, there was no bandages, but he had to get sent off a couple more times after that, and they scored from one of those moments. So that's not De Ligt's fault. I mean, it is because he headbutted in his opponent's knee, but I mean,
Sure.
but surely the physios had to take responsibility for that Brentford goal, because that should have been done. If you need an extra 60 seconds to get the wound done, you take those 60 seconds, Lindelof can go to the bench. But you don't send him back on prematurely and have him come off 2 other times and then take even more minutes off the clock and, we concede whilst we're a man down. It was really poor decision making from the physios. What's your takeaway, man? Because it kind of made me angry, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You want to close that up, and the Vaseline is going to be kind of the major factor. And I also looked at that and I was like, why is there not a gauze pad and then bandaging around it? But if you look at where it is on the head, that's kind of a weird spot to try and bandage up properly, unless you're going to just like have a whole wrap around your face. So I mean, that would have been an option, sure, but that probably wouldn't have lasted all that long, anyways. And so just trying to get through to
Would it have lasted
halftime,
long enough to
and
half time? That's the thing. Long enough. Not a long time. There was seconds left, obviously, when they conceded the goal. But when the incident first happened, there was probably a good half an hour to go. Anything. But there was no Vaseline though, sporadically. It was just... I don't know what
yeah,
they did.
yeah. I
There
mean,
was
it really
nothing.
did just look like an open wound, and so I was certainly confused. I wasn't sure what they were doing on the sidelines the first couple of times he had to come off to get treatment, and so it looked like he came back on and nothing was done, and yet he was still out for extended periods of time just getting treatment. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a physio. I'm not going to say that I have any type of medical expertise, but this did seem kind of fishy. I don't know what they were thinking, just sending him back out there basically as is and hoping that the bleeding's going to stop. So, again, I thought that Ten Hag, at first, I was thinking, why is he not subbed off?
Yeah.
Heads bleed a lot, and clearly they're not dealing with it well. And so, losing that much blood in the manner that he is, you kind of worry for the guy's health at the same time. And so, the fact that he was able to stay on until the end of the half, and then I saw him come out, and then we saw that patch, or
Yeah.
the patch of Vaseline, basically. I was like, okay, well, maybe this is going to work. We'll just have to wait and see. And honestly, that second half, he was called upon many, many times, and I don't know that Lindelof would have had the same effect as Matthijs de Ligt in a lot of those situations. So, props to Ten Hag for trusting in his physio staff and just getting to that point where we can get him to halftime and get a little bit more treatment and hopefully kind of close that up a little bit more because he had an outstanding second half in my opinion.
Yeah, we're about to get on to the second half. Again, I just think it was... God, I can't remember the last time a non-technical staff member maybe potentially cost the team a goal like that. And we're on such
Yeah.
a crazy, unlucky, bad run, or whatever you want to call it. And we've had a horrendous 12 to 18 months of injuries and stuff like that anyway. And, like... You think, God, now they're costing us goals. Those decisions are costing us goals that shouldn't have even have happened. And God, we went into the game 1-0 down. Both our manager and one of our assistant managers in RedVsRed are now booked. We got one or two bookings. We've got a couple of injuries. We've just lost a goal at half time. There were boos at half time. The crowd had turned. It wasn't looking good, but they came out all guns firing for that second half, and probably one of the best halves of football we've put on this season. We were just relentless, and we ended up getting that goal in the 46th minute. And just talk to us about that goal, Sprat. It was a beautiful goal, great goal.
Yeah, I mean that was two totally different teams that we saw in the first half and the second half.
I don't know,
There was
before you go
so
on,
much energy.
the hard work was there in the first half. That same tenacity was there in the second, but there was something different. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't from lack of effort. But you are right to an extent, but it wasn't
Sure,
through
but
hard work.
the intent I feel like is it was totally different. And like the tactics, there were tactical changes in my opinion that were made in that second half. And we were playing much more advanced. We were really trying to press up high and win the ball back. I mean, we had like 75% possession over the first 10 minutes of that second half, and we got the results from that. That link up between Rashford and Garnacho on that first goal. I mean, that's the type of stuff that we're looking for in our team, right? You got Rashford on that right hand side playing the ball across to Garnacho wide open on the back side. He's not going to miss that. He's too good to miss that. Let's be honest. He is a finisher for sure, and you give him that much space, and it doesn't matter that it's going to be a first time, volley. He's scoring that. He's shown that he can do it on more than one occasion, and so I loved to see that link up. And Marcus Rashford in particular, honestly, that second half, he played like a man possessed. I felt like he was really playing for his job. He had any number of moments where he's tracking back and doing it willingly and pressing up high and doing it quick and covering for Dalot whenever Onana is making those plays or making those passes up over the top just to get in behind, and Rashford saying, okay, well, I'll sit back and let him have that opportunity. He was also willing to take people on. The switching back and forth between him and Garnacho on the wings, it was done to really good effect. Sometimes we saw them on the same side, and I think honestly that was the one time that was the one type of time where I was like, they're not being that effective, is when they were both showing up on the same side of the pitch. But man, they really they were causing problems for Brentford's back line just the entire second half. And just the press itself, everybody was getting in on the press. Christian Eriksen was playing up a little bit higher, I felt like, whenever we were off the ball, to try and make sure that there's not an easy pass between our attackers and into the heart of our midfield. So man, but Rashford, I would say Rashford had probably one of his best performances of the season thus far in this match, honestly.
From the quality that Rashford showed today in his passing and his effort, it was tenacious. He was holding the ball up. He had a good weight of pass. Those long driven balls, which that was his first Premier League assist today, Sporadiclese. Like
for the season?
For the season so far. Yeah, not like ever.
Yeah.
Like literally his first Premier League assist this season. And that's scary considering the quality that he's shown today.
Well, that was almost an identical goal to one that we had in, I believe it was Europa League, where he was on the left-hand side and played the ball over to Garnacho on the right-hand side and gave him a wide open opportunity. So it's not that we don't see that from him. It's just that we need to see it from him more consistently, and especially in the Premier League. I mean, this is the most important competition for us any year ever, right? It needs to be done in the Premier League. We need to be on top of our game. And today, in that second half in particular, again, to your point, it seemed like everybody had the energy, but if you don't know how to direct the energy, then it can be wasteful. And that was kind of how I felt about the first half and during a lot of that, as opposed to, I mentioned the intent of our players throughout the entirety of that second half. Everybody was on the same page. Everybody knew their role, and everybody was working together, to achieve that. And so it looked much more fluid, for long stretches of that second half.
Yeah, again, it just shocked me. It's not like we're looking for those long driven balls for Rashford all the time, but the fact that this is the first time that he's had an assist in the Premier League this season shows that this game has had something that he hasn't shown in previous games. And I think you're saying that like he was playing for his job. I think it's like the opposite for that. It was weird. It's like he didn't have a burden on his shoulders. He was charging at people. He was carefreeing, playing 40, 60-yard balls with a bit of swerve on them and landing them on a dime. It was like it was an assured performance from Rashford. It wasn't like he had a gun to his head or anything. It was like he was holding the gun for a change. Do you know what I mean? It just felt completely alternate from what he's had up to now in this season, where you could just see it wasn't. He actually had a smile on his face at times, and again, that's what we all want to see. And it was great to see from Rashford, and I hope he sees that with the versatility that he showed with Garnacho today. They don't play left or right wing anymore. They both play up front attack, and they're swapping side. Their synergy while swapping is unlike anything I've seen in the Premier League this season so far. Like that performance in the second half, in the whole match of them swapping. Name me another team that swaps their wingers like we do. Like they must have swapped 10 times today against Brentford. You don't see that.
Yeah. No, and you really don't. And whenever you do, it's certainly not to the effect that we had today. It gets kind of messy whenever you're swapping wings that frequently, but it almost seems like natural for them to be doing that with the way that everyone was playing here. those there was quite a good bit of interplay between the wings and and the center midfielders. Ericsson was getting in on it. Bruno was kind of there. I think Casemiro was definitely more of a holding player this match, but he was still looking to get the ball switched. But just altogether, just a more that was a much more complete I'm not saying it is a totally complete performance on offense, because there were definitely opportunities that we missed out on, but it looks much closer to to the final product than I think we've seen all season. And I think the fact that all of our attackers were involved in a goal today in some way, shape, or form kind of speaks to that. What do you think about that?
We were building play at numerous times throughout today. Like, there were numerous times where we could have had more goals. I've said it before, I'll say it again. It wasn't like we were playing like Arsenal. It was just a United we haven't seen a lot lately, with the one-touch passing and the movement and the accuracy of that final pass to create the chance. Like, it was exciting. People were rising up with their stakes. I was like, wow, that was pretty cool. Like, where did that come from? I saw things today in that second half that I haven't seen at Manchester United in a long time, and it was exciting. But then you're also brought back down to earth by the point that, hang on, it's still 1-1 technically. But then the moment happened, the best goal of the game in my opinion. Beautiful Højlund goal. We created from the back, and it didn't really work out. Then they got possession, and we created a high press in their corner, which we did a lot in that second half, and we worked a half ball. Bruno somehow got in hold of the pass. He literally one touch backheeled it to Højlund straight away. Højlund onside, and yet still has the nerve almost to chip it over the keeper from that wide angle. And it was just a really exciting. I am so happy for Højlund, but happy for Manchester United players as a whole, because that was a real team effort, from that press to the Bruno being able to create that chance as that captain. And Bruno's had a lot of stick over the last few weeks. That will do him the world of good as well. But for Højlund, I said it once, I'll say it again, he is the potential to be our star player. He can shine above all others in our squad, because I believe that's the potential that he's got. And yet, it was a fantastic finish from him. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, anybody else in that position is going to struggle to put that in the back of the net. I think if that
especially
was
in that position, Garnacho's smashing that, isn't he? Yeah.
Well, sure, but he's also a man full of confidence, and I do want to emphasize, man. You mentioned oh, well, he's got a kid, hasn't he? But kids can have kids too. But I think he's definitely grown into his own for sure. But again, if that was Zirkzee and not Højlund, I don't think we get that goal. Zirkzee, he tends to keep his shots a bit lower. That low option was kind of covered by the goalkeeper in that moment, and so Højlund has that that moment of recognition of, I need to get my head up, I need to look and see what the goalkeeper is doing. He's coming out, he's sliding down, I'm just going to chip this over him. And he really does have that killer instinct that we've been missing in our strikers for quite a while. And so I was almost sad to see him subbed off for Zirkzee. I know that I picked Zirkzee in my starting lineup, but man, Højlund looked good today, especially in that second half. So I hope we see more of him. I really do.
I had that down in my notes, man. I had it. Højlund, 70 minutes. Højlund having an amazing game, explosive when needed, holds the ball up well, took his goal really good. And then 73 minutes, Højlund off, Zirkzee on. I was like, oh, I was like, I understood. He's just come back from injury. You can't overwork him. He's had a good 70 odd minutes. You can't risk it. I understand, but despite us saying that the best goal of the game was from the Højlund goal, the best move from the game came from fantastic link-up play with Casemiro, Rashford involved again, and got the final pass to Zirkzee, and it just fell apart. And I was like, bigging up Højlund. Højlund had a fantastic game. Xerxes struggled to reach the pace that was set from Højlund and players around him, and it just wasn't his day. But fantastic build-up play for that moment. But I'm worried for Xerxes now after that fantastic start. I'm a little bit worried that he can't be that sub-impact player that we need. You know, what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, if you're gonna have a striker on the pitch, you expect him to score goals, right? Like that is the the true nature of a striker is getting goals, and so I think Xerxes has the most big chances missed out of any of the players on our team.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he's been almost spoon-fed a lot of opportunities, and he's just not striking for us. But Højlund, he doesn't need many opportunities to get goals. His conversion rate is just phenomenal in comparison. If he's putting shots on target, he can very well be scoring goals. And so it was good to see him get on the score sheet. I know you mentioned his injury and everything. That is unfortunate, but I love to see him back and getting involved in the play in the way that he did. I think he had a couple of errant touches trying to hold the ball, but that's something that he's going to he's got nothing but time to work on going forward. So that's going to get better, and he'll be a different type of hold up player to get other players involved.
But I don't know if we need multiple types of players that hold up the ball well. People are saying that Højlund needs to hold. Højlund held up the ball well, better than Xerxes shown all season so far this season. So we've got an explosive, pacey, predatory striker that can hold up the ball for us when needed. Not all the time. He hasn't mastered the art yet. But he did it well today, and Xerxes hasn't been able to do that after that one game that he's had. So I'm now confused about Xerxes, because if Højlund can do something that Xerxes was brought in to do that hasn't shown, then what was the purchase for? He's not a striker. He's a number 10. Like I don't know. I'm confused and annoyed by this signing.
There's no two ways about it. We create more opportunities whenever Xerxes is on the pitch. It's not just holding up that Xerxes is doing. It's the dropping in and engaging some of the other midfielders and the wingers and linking up that play.
But at 2-1 down,
link up play as well.
At 2-1 up with a few minutes to go, that's not really what's needed. And it's not really what he was doing anyway. He was missing the touch, and he wasn't being in that advanced role. But he's dropping deep into a position where we've got Ugarte running around like a headless chicken, Eriksen's still going around. Rashford's dropped a little deeper because he doesn't need to attack so much, and so people are there. Like, we need that focal point up top. Again, I'm just confused.
That was an unnecessary sub.
Yeah,
for sure, an unnecessary sub. Rasmus Højlund looked great. And to have the second half that we were having, and then to pull off your predator, your natural finisher, again, you kind of wonder what's going on there, because this is not the first time that Erik ten Hag has pulled off one of our better attacking players in crucial moments, because that could have very easily, we could have dropped 2 points there, right? And if that was Højlund instead of Xerxes in that moment that you were talking about with Casemiro and Rashford linking up, that's goal number 2 for Højlund. He gets a brace today. That was just the game that he was having. And so, just definitely we weren't having the issues with creating the chances. So I've got to wonder if it was just a precautionary measure.
Oh, 100%. He had to be brought off because, he's just come back from injury. He's just played 70 minutes. He's explosive. He runs around a lot. He worked hard today. But it's just it was either Xerxes or Wheatley. I'm not sure if Wheatley was on the bench today or not. But Wheatley is a lot more trying to break the line sort of striker. I get Xerxes just as a signing, from what I've seen, is confusing, because we've brought him in to do a role which we have players like Højlund that can do that role already. Or Bruno Fernandes is in that role already. It's kind of like a square peg in a round hole, and I don't really see it fitting. But Maybe it's a form thing, but I don't know.
I mean, we don't have a reliable player to replace Bruno Fernandes in Bruno Fernandes' natural position.
Well,
So whenever he goes up and plays that false nine, I don't think that Mason Mount fills that gap. I don't think that Christian Eriksen fills that gap as well. And again, Xerxes does bring something a little bit different, but it's just that finishing talent, that last little bit, and that's what he needs to focus on. And if he can start finishing his opportunities, because he's had any number, then yeah, I mean, I think it'll be a good signing overall. And he's got time to sort that out. We've got Ruben.
but does he though? Because 3 Italian clubs are already saying that they're interested in buying him in January. Which in the history of the Premier League, I'm sure there has been times, but I can't remember a time when Manchester United have bought someone and then someone wants to buy them 6 months later. That actually has a value on them. So, does he have that much time?
Well, I mean, if if we have other clubs that are already looking at bringing him in, then it's not because he's doing poorly. Again, I think that he brings something. I think he brings something different to the team, and it's something that we have been missing. If last season in particular, we had wingers that did not want to play the ball to our striker. Now we have a striker that doesn't need to be striking and is willing to engage the wide players. And so we have created opportunities from that. It's, again, just a matter of finishing them. And that's not just on Zirkzee. Those opportunities are being created for Garnacho, for Marcus Rashford, for Bruno Fernandes. And so those other players also need to capitalize on the creation of opportunities that Zirkzee is working for. But again, you bring in Erasmus Højlund and you immediately get that goal impact, right? And so I think that's kind of where there's going to be a balance. And this was one of those games where you didn't need, a false nine to assist in creating opportunities. The opportunities were already being created. But against teams that are going to be sitting back deeper, and we have seen it against a lot of those teams, that we are getting more opportunities than we were last season, because we're just trying to, our wingers are trying to run at 2 people, one after the other, and it's just not going to work out. Whereas Xerxes is pulling one of those out of position so that our wingers can try and come in and take on that one player and not have the second person to be. And so I think that he has been effective in assisting in creating those opportunities, but he has to get better at finishing them. Absolutely 100%.
So I'm about to sneeze in a minute. Okay, so let's kind of summarize. What's your thoughts on bless me, I knew it was coming. I couldn't quite time it. What's your thoughts on the whole Ten Hag response today? His lineup, his motivation, obviously a really good half-time talk. What do you think his reaction will be to medical staff? I mean, I've just looked up that obviously Sir Alex Ferguson, who pretty much got sacked earlier on in the week, didn't travel to Old Trafford today. So I mean, it's kind of what's your whole take on all that, on the whole staff side of things for today?
I mean, we already seen a precursor to that, right? What with Ineos cutting the staff, like in the office itself, fairly significantly earlier in the season, just to try and cut costs and make sure that we're meeting the PSR accountability standards. And so I don't know how you could possibly, unless Sir Alex Ferguson was saying, hey, look, I don't want to do this anymore. You can just go ahead and remove me from this position or remove the position altogether. That's uncalled for. that's a really bad look from a new management staff. And so, Sir Alex Ferguson is everything that, we think of whenever we think Manchester United. It's success. It's, intensity. It's, it's just drive, pure drive to perform. And so, if I were in his position and I was quote sacked from my job, assuming that is what happened. I'm not there in the back office dealing with all of that stuff, but I wouldn't want to come to that match either. I would be proper miffed. Um, so I know so many fans that are basically in the same boat of like, what on earth are you doing? This is look, you can pick on a lot of people in the organization. That's not the one that you pick on, right? So I don't know what that's all about, but not. I don't think that was done in good faith, in my own personal opinion.
Yeah, look. At first thought I'm really angry over the whole Sir Alex Ferguson. I mean, look, mate, he's 84 years old. Yeah, you
Yeah,
still wheel him in for sponsorships and everything like that. You wanted to talk to the young players, and you brought him in for Jude Bellingham, even though it didn't work out. And you're basically using Sir Alex as a person and a figure at your needs must, like however many times over the last 21 years. And yeah, he's been getting but absolutely he should be getting a damn wage because he's the one person that actually stuck through and got us. He's made us who we are today. I'm literally looking at our background and it's saying the Sir Alex Ferguson stand. What are they going to do? They're going to rename the stand now. Like, I don't understand what it was all about. And yeah, like I said, the first response, I was really angry. Second response, second thought, I'm like, hang on a second. He's retired from Manchester United for 2. He's already been paid for 21 years and got a fair chunk and this, that, and the other. He doesn't work like 40-hour days. He's got horses, everything already. He's had a brain operation. He's not short of money. He's fine for money. I was thinking maybe he just wants to go and enjoy the horses a bit more and just enjoy life wherever he can. I don't know. But yeah, on one side I'm really angry with how it's been done and treated because look, if he wants a wage or needs a wage, we should give him one for life. We've given him a wage for 21 years. Let's be honest, we're not going to give him a wage for another 21 years. So what's the big deal? Is my opinion. We're the biggest club in the world. We should be able to pay Sir Alex Ferguson a pension for as long as he's alive, and do you know what? His family as long as he's after. So, yeah, it's just really confusing to me. I know we let go of 250 staff as well, and that's not great. Apparently, there's news articles of people on their last day of the job literally in tears while sweeping up alone, and no one's doing anything about it. And apparently, some people are saying the players should pay for Ferguson's. So it's a whole. This is what it's all the changes going on. Little things like removing 250 staff and sacking Sir Alex Ferguson is causing rifts. It's not a smooth transition at the moment. So I think it's even more important that we were able to put all of that aside and work hard today on the pitch because they didn't work hard against Tottenham, and there are other times that they haven't worked hard. They actually earned their 3 points today, and that second half should be the standard for every minute on the pitch in the Premier League all the time. That's what you need to bottle up and drink every day.
yeah. I'm just concerned at how consistently slow we start the first half. It's been every single match thus far in every competition. We just come out and it looks like we're just trying to gauge the opponent. Forget about gauging the opponent. Go and attack the goal. It bewilders me to sit there and watch our team, for the first 20-25 minutes just like casually feeling out the opposition. That's not really what we're geared towards. We should be getting forward. We should be attacking the back line. We should be looking for that interplay between the lines, and it's just not there. And it seems like it takes 25 minutes for us to get into the game, and then the second half is really kind of whenever we turn it on, and that's just not acceptable. So I would like to see the team come out guns blazing a little bit more. Going forward. And to your point, that second half should be the standard. That should be every waking minute of every single player's experience on the pitch for the badge. And so hopefully we can get that point across, and hopefully Ten Hag can get that point across, and we'll quit tiptoeing around and spend the first 25 minutes trying not to concede and try to go and get some goals.
I'll be honest, if that's the standard for every minute of every player, I feel sorry for De Ligt, because that's going to be a heavy standard, having a bleeding head for every minute of every game. Good luck with that one. But yeah, he soldiered through.
Well, he didn't bleed that whole second half, so it's fine. The standard is not bleeding.
I'm sure his head hurt.
But
I'm sure his head hurt.
Oh yeah, and yet he was making really smart decisions on when to come in and intercept the ball, when to make the tackles,
like when to head a kneecap. Yeah, that was really
when to head, and that being not whenever there's a knee being thrown at you. And so again,
oh, God.
Sometimes it just takes a knee to the head for you to realize, wait, I am actually kind of good at my job. Maybe I should just do that job.
Yeah.
So props to him again for carrying on.
And, fair play.
And he had a great performance.
We got the win in the end. All right, so is there anything that we want to talk about or summarise before we jump on to for or against? Or have we covered everything? Is there something that we've missed? Or
I can't think of anything in particular. I mean, just overall a pretty solid performance on everybody's part today. Wish we wouldn't have conceded, but that also wasn't really up to us at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Whenever you're down a man on a set piece, so is what it is.
Yeah, fair play. All right. Well, before we jump into for or against, I'll kind of break it down what we're going to be doing. Yeah, we have this little segment towards the end where we come up with 3 statements and we pick a side either for or against, and we try and argue whether we believe that side or not. We try and argue the side that we've been given to try and allow you guys to hear both sides of the story so you guys can make your decision as well. If you've reached this point, by the way, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoy it. Make sure you hit the follow button and the subscribe button and get us up into double figures. That would be great. So you're for or against this week? Is that right, Sporadic?
I think I will be for this week.
I've got that, and I'm against. Okay, so without further ado, I'm ready for or against. You ready, buddy?
Let's do it.
All right, let's go. Oh, okay, yeah. I can't have the video. God, things never work when you want to, do they? Technology always works when you need it to, doesn't it? Anyway, right, welcome back. I'm the TheSaffronMan, and this is Red versus Red, for or against. I'm here with Sporadiclese, and we're going to be bringing up 3 statements and talking about whether we're for or against them. Hopefully you guys can make your decision, and let us know in the comments down below. Sporadiclese, you are for this week. I've kind of purposely kept these from you, so we'll have your first thoughts on them as we go. So, for or against, question number 1. Let's have a look. There we go. Most bookings for United staff in a season this season. So we've just obviously played Brentford, and we've had Rude was booked, Ten Hag was booked. We've had quite a lot of bookings for the staff this season. We haven't really seen a lot of staff being booked, but already this season it seems pretty high. So are we going to have a record number of bookings from staff this season, do you think?
If we could, I'd like to within the organization book the physios. That would be great. They made some questionable decisions today, but with everything that's on the line, especially for Erik Ten Hag, I think we're going to see plenty more of him getting booked. Rude has already shown that he's not afraid to get up in the refs' faces and have a few words. So I certainly think that we'll probably see one or both of them in this stance more than once this season. Do you know, does the 5 yellow cards apply to management as well? I feel like it does, doesn't it?
I have no idea. It probably should and probably would, but yeah, I don't think anyone's been booked so much for confirmation of that. I know when Wayne Rooney got sent off for Plymouth the other day, he wasn't allowed to go and do an interview after. because for whatever reason, once the manager was sent off, he wasn't allowed to do an interview after. So I don't know if it's the same kind of thing in the Premier League where we would be able to talk about those sending offs, or if 5 bookings would make him suspended or have to watch in the stands for a game or two or not. I don't know, but I think we might find out this season if things keep on going, you know?
Oh, for sure. Given that, again, there is a lot of pressure on Ten Hag to perform this season. I think, if we have another poor season like we did last season, we're going to have a manager switch sometime in the transfer window. And so we're going to have to keep monitoring that. And so today was one of the first times that I really saw him get very animated, not only for, some of those negative moments, but also for the positive moments, for the goals that we were scoring. He does not get animated for almost anything. He's very stoic. And so the fact that we're seeing a little bit more emotion from him, I think that we're going to see all types of different emotions from him, whether it be frustration, anger, excitement, elation, you name it. And so definitely bookings are going to come with that. And, Rude's definitely a passionate guy himself. I think we've seen him more, getting more animated on the sidelines week in, week out than we do Erik ten Hag. So the fact that we got both of them that are, definitely getting into it a little bit more, we're going to see plenty of bookings for them this season.
Yeah, so I've just done a little Google. Most bookings by Manchester United staff in a season. AI has told me there isn't much information about that question. Here is more information on Manchester United, and it's just told me it's a professional football club. Thank you, AI, ever helpful. So look, I think Erik ten Hag is on like 3 or 4 bookings so far already this season. I think Rude is on 2 or 3. I think there's a fair few. I think even the goalkeeping coach got booked one time. I don't know. I think there's either pressure boiling over, or people are actually finally starting to do their jobs and actually starting to show a little bit of care. And so, whilst we don't have any kind of standard for the amount of staff members getting booked, I mean, our physios should have got booked today. Jesus Christ. So, I mean, I think we're lucky. I hope there are no suspensions like Sporadic mentioned, but I definitely think that our discipline is probably needed to have been lost a little bit. It has been lost a little bit as of late. And look, we haven't even reached Christmas yet, and there probably are like around 10 bookings for our staff members, all inclusive and all comps this season. So I think that kind of tells its own picture, really. And so I think it's an interesting one, especially since it's never really been a stat before. It could really be a stat by the end of this season if we keep getting our staff booked. I think it's just something to pay attention to. But all right, we'll make that go great. I think that's definitely agreeing, because that's definitely going to be happening, especially since that isn't a record already, and we were on such a strong start. And I think we're definitely going to break it. So fair play. All right. The second one I want to be on you to be talking about, Sporadiclese. Here we go. Oh God, I've got it wrong colour. And there we go. We do have world-class players, right?
I mean, absolutely we do.
You dare say Xerxes, we're going to have issues. Sorry, carry on.
That actually was not one that I was going to say.
Okay, you may continue.
I think that we saw the potential, world class that De Ligt can operate under today. Obviously, not with the head wound and receiving that. You never want to see that for anybody, and so questionable, right? But the rest of that performance, he could not be beaten. He shut down every opportunity that was coming towards us. That he had the power to do. He was making the interceptions, making well-timed tackles. I don't know that he even committed a foul that whole game. And to be that solid on defense and not commit a foul, or if he did, he might have had one.
He did commit a foul. He headbutted the opponent's kneecap. That was actually a foul.
Okay, well, look, I'll be honest.
Sorry, I just went to
it's
the
that
one foul
looked to me like he was up above the waist, and normally anytime that you've got a foot or an appendage, a leg above the waist, that's a foul on you, right? Like if that was a foot, then, you know, that's going to be a red card and the other guy's going to get sent off. That's not going to be De Ligt committing a foul. But he also did put himself in a dangerous position there, right? Which is why, you know, I think that the foul was called on him.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, if that's a foot and not a knee, that's easy a red card. The guy's getting sent off, and we're going to absolutely destroy Brentford, right? But it didn't happen that way. It was a knee, not a head. And so that was his foul. That was his one foul. And I looked at that and I was like, I did see that, right? That they're the ones getting a free kick.
Yeah.
I was a little bit confused by that, but it is what it is. So I think that, you know, the rest of the performance that he had today, phenomenal. And you know, I think that, you know, in terms of other like world class players right now, that's a little bit more tough of a call to make. I think Bruno has shown on any number of occasions that he is world class. That heel flick today, nobody else on the team was going to be able to do that to get Rasmus Højlund that second goal. He does have the ability to link up play very well. You know, it's been a rough patch for him this season, but you see it, you know, every single time that he steps out for Portugal, he's putting on performances, he's getting goals, he's getting assists, he's running the offense. World-class player, absolutely. And I think, you know, in the next year or two, we're going to be having the same conversation about somebody like a Garnacho. Just, you know, the way that he carries himself, the way that he's attacking, you know, the defenders, cutting in, getting his opportunities. How many shots did he have today? I mean, it was insane. In my opinion, he had 8 shots today, and he could have scored any number of those opportunities. And so, you know, fair play to him for getting the one that he did. He just looked really good. He's just so he's bringing the energy, and he's got, you know, that talent, that raw talent that we're still developing into that world-class player. But we are going to be having that conversation about him one day, for sure.
So your answer is no. Is that what you're saying?
No, I just mentioned at least 2.
Well, you said that Garnacho's not
right
there yet, but he has the potential to be. And you said that De Ligt has had some good stuff.
He still has things. He still has things to work out, for sure. But De Ligt and Fernandes, and if we're going by your standard, Johnny Evans is also world class. There's 3 players right there.
Okay, so all right, so I'm playing the against side of things. So obviously, I'm gonna have to concur and agree with the Johnny Evans statement, because he's kind of buttered my heart there with that one. But look, I mean, what is world class? Let's just think back. Like, let's define world class, and everyone, like yourself included, chat, everyone listening, you're all gonna have your own various opinions on what world class is, right? And that's where comes the debate. World class is more than just form in the moment. World class is more than just form over a year. So, for example, Rashford had that world class form in that one season where he got 30 plus goals in that one season. Now, that is definitely world class form. Does that make him world class? I would say no. 1, because he hasn't replicated it, and 2, he hasn't done that on the international level. 3, it wasn't in a European stage or anything like that. It was pretty much in one season without much trophies. So, world class, you're thinking R9 Brazilian Ronaldo, where for 20 games in his life literally just ripped everyone apart. And yes, Messi and Ronaldo are CR7, they've had 20 years at the high level, and you know, I absolutely, they're world class, because they've done it consistently. But when you talk about the ability and form, you have to have something in what Bruno Fernandes, I wouldn't say is a world class player. He has world-class patches and moments because of the form, and he does things differently. But he's not consistent enough with his passes. He's not consistent enough with his goal scoring. He gets sent off. He's had a terrible start to the season. So I would say that Bruno Fernandes has his moments, but he's 30 years old now, or about to be. I wouldn't say that he's an elite, top-end player. I wouldn't say he's world-class. So if Bruno's not world-class, I hear you cry, who is world-class apart from Johnny Evans? Well, that's my point. That is what I'm trying to bring up into the squad. We don't have anyone that is at that world-class elite level performing in and out. Garnacho absolutely has the potential to be a world beater. He's 21, 22 years old, but he's not there yet. De Ligt had a good start to the season, but he's fumbled at Juventus and Bayern Munich. He's just stalled since leaving Ajax. So again, 24 years old, potential to be world class. He needs to do it at international level as well, right? But that's kind of where I'm at. Right here, right now, in our squad of 26 players, I barely see a world-class player among them. You know, you compare Højlund to Haaland, it's just incomparable. You can't. Again, Højlund has that potential, but he's just not there yet, even though he's a little bit older. So, yeah, we have lots of wonder kids in our academy. We have lots of great potential, high potential players in our squad right now. We've got good experienced players in our squad right now, but in my opinion, we don't have a single world-class player that we could sell for £100+ million or whatever. So that's kind of where I'm at. It's a sad state of affairs. That's my headspace. What do you guys think? Sporadiclese, am I right on this one? Do we really, truly have a world-class player in our squad?
Look, I mean, you already agreed that Johnny Evans is world-class. So at this point, I mean, it's got to go green, right? It has to go green. God
damn my soft spot for Johnny Evans. Oh, I think you're right. Just on Johnny Evans, I mean, I am joking slightly, but at the same time, we've spent like 200 million in defenders in the last 2 or 3 years, and he's outperforming all of them on a free contract, coming out, and he's literally just game after game. Every minute that he gets, he gives us everything. He leads by example. He tells people what to do. He's running forward, back. He goes left back when needed. Guy's 36 years old. Yeah, I just can't say enough good things. So, alright, because of my weak spot for Johnny Evans, I shall give you... goddamn weak spot for Johnny Evans. Okay. Alright, third one. Nice and interesting for you, Sporadiclese. What we're going to do... Will Højlund reach his potential at Manchester United? You're for, off you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the crazy thing is that he's able to perform as well as he does in what has consistently been a broken system all last season. It was a bit of a broken system. He still was our second leading goal scorer, and he didn't get his first goal until Boxing Day. That's match week 18. So yeah, I mean, absolutely, he has all of the raw talent to do so. And I think that this is going to be a team that he can thrive in. Absolutely, he can reach his potential here. He is one of those missing pieces that we've been looking for. You know, every if you look at all the strikers that we brought in that have been successful in the past decade or so, it's been like Cavani, Ibrahimovic, like veterans of the game, right? CR7, we ended up playing as a striker a bunch, even though, you know, he used to be left winger, but and so you look at all of those and you say, oh, we're bringing in all of these people that are phenomenal, you know, talents, but it's at the very end of their career, and we have nothing but time with Rasmus Højlund. And it seems like, you know, he gets so emotional whenever he gets those first goals. I mean, he was literally in tears last season whenever he scored that first goal. He wanted it so bad. You can tell that he bleeds for scoring goals. That's what he wants to do, and he's not going to let, you know, the team that's around him prevent him from doing that. So absolutely, he's going to reach it at United. He's going to claw and scrape every single goal that he can get. Whether or not he's getting service, it doesn't matter for him. He's going to follow up chances that, you know, goalkeepers are fumbling and not, you know, parrying out or holding on to. That's the type of person that he is. That's the type of player that he is. He's that poacher. He's that finisher. He has that drive, that hot blood to go out and make things happen. And so absolutely, he's going to reach his potential here at United.
Alright, playing devil's advocate here. Remember, I've literally just talked like for 10 minutes why I think he's one of our star players. But yeah, my worry is that the board are going to run out of patience, or the council of Old Trafford will run out of patience. And what I mean by that is, obviously, there's loads of patience going around for our younger players at the moment. Obviously, Kobbie Mainoo's just been injured again. He's had a good 7 months, but hasn't had the best start of the season. But no one's getting on his back, and rightfully so, because he does. He's a top player. Just hasn't been working for him. But fair enough. But Hoyland's been here for a season or two now, and yeah, he had that dry spell in Europe, and then he came out all guns firing in Europe, and that's great. But he's gone on barren runs, which has mostly been Manchester United's fault. I get it with the lack of service. It's never from a lack of effort from Hoyland. But I think at some point, either he is going to run out of patience and think, I could go to Manchester City as an example, get past the ball like 10 times in a match, and I could probably get 3 goals a match easy, sort of thing. Or I could go to Newcastle, where they don't have the ball half as much. I won't earn half as much, but by God, I'm going to run in behind and I'm going to get 20 plus goals a season. Or he might go to somewhere like Napoli or Lazio, or Real Madrid might say Mbappe isn't for us. Let's get now and out number 9, and my God, he's going to score goals for Real Madrid. Like, at some point, I think the board are going to say, look, there's a part between potential and price range, and I think at some point he's going to be worth so much money, but still not providing the service that we need for him, like 20 to 30 plus goals a season. And I just think an offer of like 120 million up front with some percentages on another player might come along in the next 2 years or so, and that might make us think, do you know what, we could get another 2 youngsters. Like, do you know what I mean? I just think there could be a balance in the future, especially with some of the decisions that the board have been making recently. I'm saying it's not beyond a shadow of a doubt that he reaches our full potential here. He could have a blinding season at the end of this season, a fantastic season next season, and then it could be going to Barcelona or something. I don't know. Who am I kidding? They can't afford him. So, but yeah, I don't know. I just think I'm worried. I want him to stay at Man United for the rest of his career because I believe in that. Like you said, everything that you said. I like the way he's built. I like the way he walks and runs and throws himself about the place. I think it's Manchester United that I'm in doubt of and not him. So, will he reach the potential of Manchester United? I think he wants to. I think we want him to. Does Manchester United want him to? Do they have the patience to stick with him for another 6 or 7 years for him to release that potential? That's where I worry, you know? And I'm sorry. I think I just stopped you clean sweep, haven't I? Is that what I just done?
No, absolutely not. Because we have the actual football management staff, the higher up upper management staff that is going to actually build this into a proper football club again. We brought in Dan Ashworth, Omar Barada, Wilcox. We have all of these people now in place that are going to look at a talent like Rasmus Højlund, as young as he is, and say, this is someone that we can build our team around long term. And to your point, we have all of these other players that are coming up through the academy system. They're already targeting, 2028 as the time that we're really going to start challenging for trophies. And so to say that, we're not going to give opportunities to players like Ethan Wheatley, Harry Amos, heck, if we could bring back Alvarez, at left back in the long term even, him and Harry Amos competing for time at left back, that would be a huge boom to us. We also brought in Lenny Yoro, a potential generational talent. I mean, that's what he's been labeled as, right? He's only 18 years old. So much of our core is young, and so we're only going to get better over time the longer that these players play together, and they're going to understand, look, this is somebody that I can use as an outlet, somebody that is going to, be greedy at the right times, but also be unselfish at the right times. And I think that he's shown that already in a lot of different ways. And so he's absolutely going to reach his potential, and it's going to be at Manchester United. I think he came here for a reason, and this is where he's going to stay. This is where he's going to thrive, and he has nowhere to go but up right now. And,
and I hear you. As a player, you're right. On football matters, you're right. But on the business side of things, that's where I'm questioning everything going forward. I'm questioning the staff getting fired. I'm questioning Sir Alex getting fired. I'm questioning their interactions with other players and other managers during our, whilst we were trying to talk to Ten Hag, we were going out. I'm questioning all the business decisions that Manchester United are making at the moment, because that's apparently what football is now, as a business, and we have to think like that as a business. How are we growing? And I understand all of that. On the pitch, it's different, but I think Ten Hag will stick with Højlund until he's 35. Like I agree, but will Ten Hag last that long? And I don't think that. Let's say, because Barada come out and said we want to be winning the title, or at least challenging them for the title by 2028. What if we don't win the title there? And Højlund scored like 25 goals or something this season, and someone like Real Madrid come in and said, look, there's 200 million cash up front, and do you know what, we might give you a deal on one of our youngsters. And that's when the bigwigs at United go, ting, 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 like money signs, like Scrooge McDuck all over the place. Yippee! Just jumping. I just don't. I don't trust the business side of things that Manchester United does yet, because everything they show me makes me angry. So why would I trust something that kind of makes me angry?
I think that we've had very limited experience. Like, yes, there are some questionable decisions being made, but let's not forget that this is like a less than 6-month relationship with this upper management staff. And I think that what you're thinking of is how the Glazers have conducted this as a business, and as a failing business, mind you. They've not made profits. Year over year, we're incurring more debt at the expense of our football operations. And so I can't say with any type of certainty that they're going to make some business decisions, but. At the end of the day, what's good for football is good for business, and I think that Højlund is going to be somebody that you build around. You're not going to invest that much money in a youngster, and then just ship him out whenever he's doing what you want him to, and that's perform. Yes, you're talking about, we might be able to sell him for an exorbitant amount of money. How many players have we sold for an exorbitant amount of money in the past decade?
Well, and so you're saying we're bringing in these youngsters, and we're selling them on again. We're bringing in, what's his face? Sideshow Bob, look, I forget, literally, what's his face? We sold him already for under 10 million. We've sold Alvaro Fernandez. No, Kombola's another one, but Alvaro Fernandez was another one who we're thinking of buying back. We bought him for like 10 million, and we've sold him for 8 million with a buyback clause for like 12.
Buybacks and sell-on clauses, man. We have the opportunity to bring them back for cheap, well as we get profits if they get sold to somebody else.
My point is,
that's already
we're buying these youngsters for top money, with then selling them for less money. Yes, there's buyback clause, but we're wasting money there. Anyway, it's business decisions, and bringing them in, I like. Letting them go again for pitiful amounts of money. You go tell Chelsea to sell one of their players for 8 million or something. They will chuck you out their door laughing, right? While smoking $100,000 cigar or something. Like they will literally just throw you out. So I don't know. I think business is. I'm just worried. But anyway, I think we've approached the time now. Let us know what you guys think down below, right? Get involved in the comments. Make sure you hit the subscribe and hit the notification bell as well. So when we post a new video, you'll see me again probably on Tuesday. You'll see Sporadiclese again during the week, probably in the next match preview. But thank you so much for watching. Anything to finish off with, Sporadiclese?
No, I mean, I think it's all been covered. Just definitely hit that follow button and the subscribe button. 100 of either one of those, and we'll start the Discord so that we can engage with people a little bit more. So. Let's bump those up. I see that we've gone up another sub on YouTube, so love that. Love to see it, and let's keep it going. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we will respond, guaranteed.
Love the way how I sneakily ended that before we come to a conclusion. It's a clean sweep or not. That's why I ended it. So we're not giving him a clean sweep, but thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.